Ancient technologies. So, a as you can see in this image, a belt. What it says is a belt, like a pre-dynastic belt. So it's a beaded belt. Basically it's just a rope or string with a whole bunch of beads or a whole bunch of stones with holes through them, and you put it all together to create this. What's interesting about this, especially they're saying it's a belt, so because it's very long, so it wouldn't really be optimal for around your neck, but you actually can wear this around your neck, but that's for a different conversation, different video. Right now I just want to point out the fact that this is interesting because it's essentially a rope with hard rocks on it. This looks a little familiar. It looks like if I type up in Google stone cutting rope, you get what's called um, a wire saw. And a lot of them say that they are diamond rope saws. So a lot of these are, this one can cut granite. And so notice a lot of similarities to these ropes. They look very beaded, right? Looks a lot like the beaded belt, right? The beaded rope, the bead necklace. Just pointing out that similarity. So what if in ancient times, stone being cut by a wire? So obviously you will see that they're shooting water. So that's to reduce friction, because the wire would get heated up by the friction by constantly rubbing against the stone that they're trying to cut. You see this machine here is basically just a big power wheel, big, electric motor turning a wheel, which the rope goes around there to the other side and it comes back. And then just cuts. And the idea is to slowly cut down, to have this big thing loose. And then do whatever you want with the stone. So what if in ancient times that's what they did? So here's another image. Stone cutting using rope. Here's the machines they used to use the rope. And the rope is diamond beaded, essentially, right? Beads with diamond on it. So it's not too different than a beaded rope. So just pointing out that fact, something to look into, right? Something you could test out, the possibility of, that this is what it was. So the point I'm trying to make here is that whoever originally came up with the idea of this, more likely came up with the idea of this out of necessity, out of the fact that they needed something that they can cut something big, whether it be a tree or a stone with, much easier. And they wanted to make it easier, right? Work smarter, not harder. That's the ancient human way of thinking, right? Work smarter, not harder. So they would have tried to figure out a way to make it easier to cut things. So a rope saw would be one of those types of ways. Now you can use just a rope with some type of like olive oil or something that is sticky but is also very slippery. So you could use water, but water dries up a little fast, especially in the desert heat or any hot climate. So you rather use olive oil. It'll last longer, as in it'll stay wet, moist, right, I should say. It'll stay slippery a lot longer, and it can handle high heat, right, friction. And then throw in some sand, and then go to work. So olive oil and sand cutting being used with copper tubes or copper saws or copper or rope, right, is one way of going about it. They could have made copper beads, right, and then put rope through it, and then make copper bead rope, and then use that with sand and whatnot to cut granite. So any possibility. The thing is, it's possible. If it's possible, more likely it did happen. Was it widely used in ancient times? Probably not. Probably was just used by a couple people, especially some lazy people who don't want to do it the hard way. But most people nowadays like to think, no, ancient humans love doing everything the hard way. Hell no, they didn't. They're a lot like us, and most of them will be just like me and be like, I'm too smart to do it the hard way, and I'm lazy and smart. Ironically, laziness leads to smartness because that's where innovation comes from. I was like, well, I don't want to do it the harder way. Let me innovate an easier way because I'm lazy, right? So then you go into creating a bead rope and using the rope to cut things like granite. So just wanted to point that out. Don't want to take too long. And just something to put out there. Go try to create your own beaded, you know, necklace, right? And use it to cut stuff like granite. Obviously, forgot to mention this. What cuts stone? Well, you can use stone to cut stone, right? You can use granite to cut granite. You can use quartz crystals to cut granite, and the list goes on. Something that was interesting to point out is that archaeologists would say that ancient Egypt did not have iron, but I've already proven that to be wrong. Other people have proven it to be wrong. There definitely is iron in Egypt, all in the Giza Plateau. There's iron. So there's proof of iron, so they definitely had iron. There's even an iron dagger that belonged to King Tut, so or Ramsey II, one of the pharaohs. Point is, they definitely had iron. And the idea of them not having diamond, okay, we can go with that. Maybe it's hard to prove that they had diamond. I mean, if we don't find diamond, maybe they didn't have it. But here's the thing: they did have, because there's proof that they have it. In Egypt, there's a lot of white quartz. White quartz can cut granite. So white quartz is just as good as diamond for cutting granite. So you don't have to use diamond to cut granite. You can use quartz. And I already made videos showing me using translucent quartz, which quartz is quartz regardless if it's clear quartz or if it's white milky quartz. The point is quartz is quartz, right? And it can cut granite. And granite has quartz in it, like small little bits and pieces of it, right? And that's what you're cutting it and breaking is the little quartz inside the granite using the quartz. That's what makes granite tough is the quartz. But if you use quartz to cut it, then it's not that tough. We can definitely cut granite with quartz, right? So there's proof of that. I already made videos about that. And I just want to point this out that whatever you use a whole bunch of little pieces of quartz or little pieces of granite or flint can cut granite and put it onto, make them into little beads, put them onto a rope and then use the rope to cut granite. So, and that's the end of the video.